Dan asked Brian Kelly when he considered leaving.
My focus was on my guys at Notre Dame. I don't know that there was ever a, wandering eye at all. But, we're curious. We're coaches, right? We're always looking for that next challenge.
Yeah, so the idea is like, while your agent may be having these conversations, and I think everyone's agent, and this happened in broadcasting, when Tony Romo got $17 million, you don't think that Troy Aikman was like, hey, guess what? I've been doing this 3 times as long. I have 3 Super Bowl rings. He has none. I was quarterback of the Cowboys. I won 3 Super Bowls. If he's worth 17, what am I worth? That's absolutely normal in any industry. Any industry. But I actually believe that, like, okay, you're coaching your team. You can't focus on what else is out there. You hear stuff. I'm sure there's conversations about stuff. But the idea of leaving, you just don't have the bandwidth to think of it, because that happens the second the season is over. I thought this was the best question and the most honest answer. He was asked, okay, about if circumstances were slightly different, would he still be at LSU?
If you were ranked 3rd right now, Coach, would you still be in Louisiana?
Oh, I don't know, Dan. Those are tough questions. I'm a pretty honest guy, and would tell you, but those are so hard to answer relative to what I've had done something different in that situation, and I really couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
All right, it's fair. I think Lincoln Riley's in the same boat. Like, I don't think Lincoln Riley's the coach at USC today, and maybe not the coach at USC ever, if they win Saturday, because then they're playing for a Big 12 championship and potentially playing for a national championship. And while there's still the possibility of Notre Dame, and I want to talk about that coming next, what they do if they are right there on the cusp of qualifying, what the committee does, I think there's a reality to, like, if they were in a different spot and had a chance to play for a national championship, I don't think he would be open to that yet until their season was done. Speaking of season being done, I don't blame you as fans for not knowing how things work. But when you're a member of the media, I do. Here's Peter King on a radio hit in San Francisco.
I think what Brian Kelly did yesterday is an absolute total disgrace. You have 90 players and 15 coaches to be absolutely, totally all in. But how in the world do you walk out on your team? I don't care what the money is. And they wake up one morning and see on Twitter Brian Kelly has reached a 10-year, $100 million deal with LSU. Would you feel like you'd be kicked right in the crotch? I would. And I would be angry at Brian Kelly.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't actually think most of the players are angry. I think they're a little pissed, but not angry. But, I said this yesterday, and I talked to some basketball coaches last night, and they're like, you're 100% right. Brian Kelly talked about saying goodbye to the players. Actually, this is the Q&A with Dan, and asked about saying goodbye to the players.
Is there a tactful way to say goodbye?
Never. It's always difficult because of things get leaked and they get out to the media before you can actually get in front of your guys. I did the best I could. I was on the road recruiting, and things got, out to the media before. But I was able to send a note to my guys and then get in front of them yesterday at 7 a.m. and tell them I love them.
So Peter is in this kind of holier than thou. It's a disgrace. Like, listen, I hate to break it to you guys, but we have a lot of people in the media who cover sports, but don't really know sports. And Peter knows a ton about the NFL, but he's never covered college. And he's saying things about college. He frankly, like, the reality is, when you're a coach or when you're anybody who leaves your job, You are not supposed to say anything. I don't understand why they don't say it, but you're not supposed to say anything. And he was on the road recruiting. Like, by the way, that's why this process has to be done quickly. And while it doesn't make sense with the game schedule, with the bowl games and the New Year's Six and the national championship semifinals, why it doesn't make sense, December 15th is the early signing date. That's in 15 days, you know? And I've heard your first recruiting class doesn't matter. Yes, it does. It's everything. Everything is the momentum generated by the announcement and using the success of where you were to where you're going. And oh yeah, by the way, the school where you coach for, they don't want you out there recruiting for them if you're not going to be there. That looks terrible. They don't want you around the players because you're going to take the good players with you. That looks terrible. I saw a tweet where he had the Brian Kelly executing the Irish exit from the Fighting Irish is the most ironic thing ever. I think that's incredible. I don't know if you guys do that. Do you guys do the Irish goodbye, which is, you know, when you go to a party, you just kind of duck out the back door, you dip, if you will. You don't say goodbye to anybody, which that's how I leave parties, just so you know. If you ever look around, go, where's Gottlieb? There's your answer. Not here. It's not because I hate saying goodbye. It's just awkward. And it's actually, I feel like it shows less ego to do that. Right? Because if you have to say goodbye to everybody, you're telling everybody, hey, stop what you're doing. Somebody really important is leaving the party.